Okay, this game I won, so I won't be crying at the end, you know. So yeah, this is the game that no preparation went into. I was white. C4, E6. Oh, okay, I was playing this piano in this one. Okay, so he plays the move H6 here. Kind of an offbeat move. Which, like, kind of this is the point, you know, when you play someone like him who plays like every opening, and you also know the kind of style that he has. You know, he's going to try to create something himself, right? He feels like he has to beat you. He's going to be creative. So there's not like a lot of point in preparing a lot. And just so, you know, I could have spent 3 hours preparing for this game, and then he'd play H6. So that's 3 hours of wasted energy. No, really. I mean, it's because it's not that, you know, you might learn something in a chess sense, but for the game, you're actually kind of hurting yourself because it's energy that you'll need. So that's why, you know, when he played H6, I was happy. I was happy that I did, like, you know, my only preparation was just like seeing what he does and concluding that it's useless to prepare. You know, H6. Actually, someone had played this against me once. I mean, apparently, you know, Black really fears the move Bishop G5. You know, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Some people play, yeah, Queen E8.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, so, you know, of course, the normal move is B6 and fianchettoing the bishop. So H6. So here, there are different ways to play. I actually thought somewhat interesting was the move G3. E4? You mean this one, this pawn?
No,
G4. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Queen G3? Oh, maybe Queen G3.
Interesting. G4. Wow. Yeah, maybe we just found a novelty here. I'll use it in my next game.
Amazing.
I mean, actually, you know, I gotta tell you, I love the move G4. Like in general, you know, in the opening, it's often such a great move. You know, leads to very creative play. So I have some good memories with this move. So knight G4.
We should all keep it a secret.
Yeah. It looks like we get back the pawn, right? That's what it looks like, Stuart.
Yeah.
F5, H3.
It's kind of interesting, huh?
It's interesting. Okay, well, thank you for that opening help.
Yeah. Secret analysis.
Yeah, yeah. I was really hoping you guys would teach me something tonight, you know?
Is Queen 8 the current theory?
Queen E8? I mean, that's what Stuart plays.
Yeah,
I mean, he thinks it's the best move, you know? Yeah, you really have played it.
I've played it a couple of times.
You've played it, wow,
yeah,
okay.
I just wondered what the favorite theoretical move.
Oh, the best move here is B6. And fianchettoing the bishop, here or to A6. So, you know, allowing bishop G5. Oh, also another move is D6. You know, knight D7 next. Okay, but I mean, basically, H6 is a normal move. It just avoids theory, right? He's just trying to get me out of theory.
Sure, actually, who's black here? I forgot.
Nispiano.
Oh, Nispiano, yeah.
Yeah, I thought about playing G3, bishop G2, but basically, what I decided to do is I got into this system, just had to transpose into this position. Now, basically, there are two ways of playing this this Nimzo line for white, even from here, from B6. Like, you actually. You know, obviously, developing the bishop to G5 is the main move, but the other way to play it is actually declining to fianchetto and kind of going for something, developing it here, you know, and these kinds of positions. Bishop B2. I don't remember what they play. You castle, something where it's like rook F6, D5. It's a long theoretical line. So this is what I was basically going off. Comparing it to, I was like, well, I'm up a tempo and the move H6 is not very useful for black, right? Because first of all, you know, I haven't developed my bishop there. I'm just doing this development here. And in a lot of cases, it actually hurts black because you don't have the transfer of the rook to H6. Because what black does in these kinds of positions after knight E4, F5, is they attack on the king side. So the H6 square is actually very useful. Okay. So, let's see. H6, E3, B6, knight f3, bishop b7, bishop e2, d6, b4, some normal development, knight e4, here and here.
Just the game, right?
It's the game.
Okay.
I'm not just showing you more long variations, Stuart. Yeah. a5. Is this what happened once? Oh, yeah. No, wait. Did I steal a tempo somewhere? 1 second. Queen c3, h6.
This was a great game you won, by the way, this one, no?
It was okay.
A lot of people told me about this game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. b6, knight f3, bishop b7. That's what happened. Bishop e2. Oh, okay, of course. He didn't develop his knight. Yeah. b4. He didn't go knight d7. He played knight e4 right away. I was wondering where I stole a tempo. So queen c2 and a5. Bishop b2. And here he made this move, that it's been hanging in the air for a couple of moves. Even before the move a5 and after the move a5, it's this idea of move knight g5. And this move had been kind of concerning me for a while because it really, puts me in front of a difficult problem, right? The problem is that obviously I don't want to trade because then I have no good way to defend g2. I can't really castle either because, my pawn structure is just ruined and black has no problems. And he just wants to take. He wants to trade more pieces, ruin my structure, and then just develop, right? So I had seen this idea a while back, and I was like worried about it. I was like, how am I going to deal with this, right? And then
It's possible there you won in this position instead of castle e1, rook e1.
rook g1, right. Well, the problem with that is I'm not really threatening anything. He doesn't necessarily have to take on f3.
h4.
Yeah, well, the problem is even if he goes something like f5, and then even just, and like on h4, even if he just goes back, right? The problem is my king is so weak, right? I mean, okay, maybe you can say g4 now. Maybe. It's actually kind of interesting. But the king and e1, somehow it was hard for me to believe in the move on rook g1. I mean, you don't have to play, by the way, you don't have to play f5. Might be something else, maybe knight bd7, But once the king is, committed to the center, especially with this A file open, it just didn't feel right. So as a solution, so here, I made this move knight d2, which also, I actually had a blitz game in the women's world blitz championship in the semifinal where I actually used a similar idea that was not nearly as good as it was in this game, but it was a similar idea. To avoid the simplification, you actually offer like a pawn on g2, and if he doesn't accept it, then it really kind of refutes the move knight g5. Knight g5 is just a very bad move because you're going to castle, you're going to play f3. It's not clear what the knight's doing. And by the way, one thing I knew about this position, right, is like you can castle. You don't have to be afraid of knight h3 because you don't have to take it. It's just check. You just move away. It's all pretty safe for white. So knight d2. Once I found this move, and of course, you have to back it up with some calculation, like bishop takes g2. How does that work out? And he thought for a really long time here. And honestly, I thought he should just, accept the fact that he'd made a blunder because he missed knight d2 and play like f5. Castles and this position, which I think is just, better for white because it's kind of the ideal thing that white can hope for here. The knight's gone to g5 for no clear reason. My knight's well placed on d2. Usually white has to go through some contortions to get rid of that knight. And here it was pretty easy. So, white would just be kind of better here. But I guess it probably has to do with his kind of style of play. He just, he's very dynamic and he really kind of, plays challenging moves. So he actually just took the pawn. I was very surprised. Rook g1.
Looks like he did you a favor,
I feel like he did me a favor, yeah, because here's the thing. I don't even, sometimes you give up this pawn for compensation, right? I didn't feel like it was compensation here. I felt like it was just good for white. You know, that was what my calculations told me. So here's the thing. Now, he played bishop h3, which is a move I gotta admit I didn't spend a lot of time looking at, and it does have its own particular ideas. I mean, I basically, you know, looked at this retreat more. And then there are two ways for white to proceed. You know, they can play f4 and then d5, or they can play d5 right away. But I think, you know, d5 is just a good move, and basically threatening f4. And my idea, like basically like a line that I calculated during the game was d5, e5, f4. You know, knight goes back and I take. And I just thought this, I mean, the bishop is shut out on b7, by the way, kind of similar to in the other game I showed you, right? This bishop on b7 against the pawn on d5. The pawn on d5 wins. So this looked very promising for white, you know. You know, with queen g6 coming in and so on. And my king on e1 feels fine here. So he played bishop h3, and then actually it became not so clear. Like, should I play d5 or should I play f4? They're both like my candidate moves, but they're quite different. And I think d5 was the stronger move, which is what I played. The problem with f4 is that he then shows us his idea, which is bishop f5. And, you know, first of all, e4 isn't so happy for white in a line like this, right? I mean, it's very sad to see this happen to the bishop that, you know, it should have been, the diagonal should have been open for him, and now he's just crying here in the corner. So you don't want that to happen. If you move the queen, then knight e4, and even a position like this, it didn't strike me as very clear, you know? Because if you think about it, well, first of all, I'm maybe threatening to win the pawn again, so I'll still be up a pawn. Bishop is very strong on e4. Bishop h5? Well, on bishop h5 I can take, right? The king is in the center, the bishops, there's no attack, the bishop on a1 does nothing. So, you know, there was this point of bishop h3, which is that you always have this bishop f5 resource. And I mean, I did think about the move bishop d3 here. Actually, it's probably at this point white's best move. You know, knight h7 and d5 here. Let's see. No. But you know, this position didn't seem so clear to me.
Queen to g6.
Yeah, queen g6, like queen e7, pawn takes. Yeah, you can take an h6, but again, you know, there's no threat. Like, we've traded those bishops, and the bishop on d3 was very strong. Like here, this is actually looking kind of bad for white, right? Because the attack didn't go anywhere, and black is now on the counterattack. I mean, you can take this pawn, and actually, I think the computer afterwards told me that this is like pretty good for white, but it just didn't look that convincing to me. You know, like I traded that strong light squared bishop, and that's why I rejected f4. I played d5.
That's kind of like a Yusupov again, d5, you know?
Yep, a little bit, yeah. d5. And here I was expecting like e5, and he kind of surprised me with f6. Not that e5 was that great. Just because I was expecting it doesn't mean it's a very good move. f4, he has to go here. And then here's a strong move, rook g3. Might as well throw this in. You know, send the bishop home to c8 and then take. And again, it's similar to what I already showed you. I think white just has a very good position. But you know, by the way, you know, I never want to trade this bishop because there are a lot of cases where I want to like win the knight, you know, because it's going to have nowhere to go on h7. I mean, here it has g5, but there are some cases where it's going to be trapped. He played f6. Still, you know, bishop f5 ideas. You know, for example, you know, if f4, bishop f5, e4. You know, you have to look at things like this. Like that is what I calculated.